welcome to Monday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and today we have a rather special debut on the channel for you. This puzzle on screen is called Stairway to Heaven, and it's by Dudgeon. And the reason we're showcasing this is that we had a great email from Shannon, actually, who said that in their opinion, Dudgeon is the best setter we have never showcased on Cracking the Cryptic, that is quite an accolade. And anyway, we sent this puzzle off to our testers, and they said this is absolutely superb. Apparently, it used to have the name Weaving after some tapestries in South America, and you can see it does look very colourful. But our testers changed the name to Stairway to Heaven, I believe, in an attempt to make me play the introduction, which you will already have heard if I did have time to record it. This sort of bane of guitar shops everywhere, but yeah, I'm not sure I've ever done it on the channel before, so really, there comes a time and a place. Yeah, so this should be a lot of fun, and I think as Shannon also said, we don't know whether to solve it or frame it. It is so pretty. Now I've got loads of things to talk to you about today, as ever it seems at the moment. Our new book is on its way. Let me find the page there. There we go. Cracking the Cryptic's Greatest Hits Volume 2. I say it's on its way. Well, what we're actually going to be doing is having a Kickstarter in October, and if we fund, then the book will be on its way. But as Mark mentioned in his video yesterday, we know an awful lot more about making books than we did before we made Cracking the Cryptic Greatest Hits Volume 1, and we're hoping the process should be smooth and awesome, and the result should be, well, something similar to the first book, we hope, which obviously I know a lot of you have a copy of. Other than that, yes, what else have we been doing? Well, over on Patreon, you should find the solution videos to the September monthly reward by now, and Mark and I spent a great deal of time this morning doing a collaborative solve of a puzzle for our patrons. You really liked the last one we did, which was of Dad Jokes' Jabberwocky puzzle. Well, the puzzle we've done this time is this one. I'm not even sure if that's going to fit on the screen, actually. It might, some of that might not be on the screen for you guys, but it is an enormous puzzle, enormous 6 puzzles altogether, called Vignettes by Zetamath, where basically all the grids sort of interact with each other. It's a magnificent puzzle, but it's not easy. I will tell you that it took Mark and I about an hour and 25 minutes to solve, but do have a go at it. We'll put the link to this under the video, so you can have a play around with it and see how you get on. And we'll put the video up for that in the coming days. I've got to edit it first because I've got to add the instructions and stuff, so it might not be immediate, but it will be coming very soon. Other than that, we're streaming tonight, 10 o'clock UK time. Love to have your company. We're going to be making our way further through our 500,000 subscribers special free app, which you should definitely download. It's free, it's magnificent, loads and loads of cool puzzles by the great and the good of the Sudoku community, including Zetamath, I might add. And other than that, I just need to say a very happy birthday today to Alex. Your best friend George wrote to us and said that you were turning 29 today, Alex, so I hope you have a brilliant day with, of course, an enormous amount of cake. But that all said and done, let us now have a look at the rules to Stairway to Heaven and see what Dudgeon, I've got in store for us. We have got normal Sudoku rules apply. Additionally, digits in cells along an arrow's path must sum to the digit in that arrow's circle. So the arrows have been drawn in black today, which is rare, and I think that's presumably to differentiate them from the coloured lines that they sometimes overlay. So those 3 digits there, let's imagine they were 1, 2 and 3. This cell here would be a 6, because 1 plus 2 plus 3 equals, you've guessed it, 6. And digits in cells along a coloured line form a set of non-repeating consecutive digits in any order. So what that's telling us is that these digits here, there are in fact 8 of them. I don't know why it looked like there weren't 8 of them, but there are 8 of them. They have to be a set of digits from they have to be a set of consecutive digits. So actually we can already say this is either going to be 1 to 8 or 2 to 9, I suppose. Let's find a shorter line. Let's imagine we worked out that was a 5. Tried to type 5, missed. Then this square here would be a 4 or a 6 to make sure that these are consecutive and non-repeating. do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual, but now I get to play. Let's get cracking. The first thing I'm seeing here is that I was about to malign all of the arrows as being too short to be useful, but that one is actually a 3-cell arrow in a box. I think that's the only one. So these 3 digits all have to be different, so this has to be at least equal to 6. We saw that in the example when I think I put 1, 2 and 3 on this line. So this is at least 6. How long are these lines? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right. Is that one the same length? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so these... Right, so this must be why the name is Stairway to Heaven. Because we've got these enormous... In effect, these are extra regions of the Sudoku, if you think about it. Because we can't repeat a digit along this line, or this line, or this line, they have to be a set of the digits 1 to 9. Just as this box has to be a set of digits 1 to 9, or this row has to be a set of the digits 1 to 9. I'm wondering about set actually immediately. Maybe that is something to do with this. Although it's very hard to see how we can make sort of, you know, the fact that this is 2 sets of the digits 1 to 9 work in any sensible way. I don't like the fact that they're staircase, they're stepping from that perspective. Oh, I tell you what I'm going to do first. I'm going to label this digit. Because when I was looking at the length of this line, we said it's of length 8. So that means these 8 cells are either the digits 1 to 8, which would make this a 9, or they're the digits 2 to 9, which would make this a 1. So this is very restricted, and therefore that is very restricted. Because that, whoopsie, that cell's got to be a 2 or an 8, because if this is a 1, we need this to be consecutive, so it's going to be 2. If it's 9, it's got to be 8. And we've got symmetry, so the same thing is going on in the bottom left of the grid. This has got to be, whoops, managed to mistype, 1 and 9. This has got to be 2 and 8. I really need to learn to use the number pad, don't I? Right, okay, this is going to be important. That's rather pretty as well. Now I'm going to ask a different question. Is it possible that these are the same flavour, these dominoes? By which I mean, imagine this was a 1-2 pair. Could this also be a 1-2 pair? And I think the answer is no. Because if both of these were the same digit, where are we going to put the digit on the orange line at the top? It's a 9-cell line, it's got to have every digit on it. But 2 gets ruled out of this square. It can't go here, can't go there. So that's impossible. So actually, these are different, and therefore they probably need to be coloured, don't they? Although finding a colour that doesn't already clash with one of the lines on here is not going to be terribly easy. Maybe I'll make grey. That works nicely. And no, orange is going to clash. Red. Red doesn't clash. Right. So whatever this is, this isn't. Which means we've definitely got a 2-8 pair here. Which means that can be neither 2 or 8, and that can be neither 2 or 8. Wow, I mean, what on earth are you meant to do here? These are different. So one of these is 9, one of these is 1, which means this is neither 1 or 9, and this is neither 1 or 9. So that junction of the orange line here has to be a middly digit. It has to be a 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7. And no, I refuse. I'm not pencil marking that. However much Mark might wish me to. What? I mean, okay, here is a small point. This domino here and these 3 digits, what's the minimum sum of those 5 cells? Well, the triangular number for 5 is 15, i.e. what's 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5? So if these add up to 15, both of the circles must be at least 6, because if we make this a 5, this would have to be a 10. So this square needs to be at least a 6. But here it's much less potent. There's a real qualitative and quantitative, I suppose, difference between box 6 and box 9. This extra length of arrow here is mighty. We've only got length, we've got a domino there and a domino there, so the minimum value of these cells is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, which is 10, which actually means these have got an awful lot of options. So what on earth is it then? Well, I'm tempted to say it's got to be this structure here, because that's the only thing I've not really looked at, but this does not look like a friendly structure to investigate, does it? So whatever goes into those cells, if it just says, let's just go with the fact, let's imagine this was a 1, 2, 3 triple for a moment, adding up to 6. What is that doing? Well, it's not doing very much, is it? Because it's saying those digits and those digits couldn't be 1, 2, and 3. Which is incredibly not, it's just incredibly unhelpful. Is there some reason this can't be, can this not be 1, 2, 3 adding to 6, or 2, 3, 4 adding to 9 or something? I don't see how there is much of a restriction, because we need one of every digit on there, so golly, sorry, I'm not getting this at all. This is rather depressing. Maybe I won't have to play Stairway to Heaven. I'm not going to be able to solve the puzzle. What? Oh, hang on. If that were... No. Okay. I've suddenly thought if this was a 1, this couldn't be maybe 1, 2, 3, but actually it can have a 1 here. So sorry, it probably looked like the camera had frozen then. I really just did corpse, didn't I? That was bad. I want to restrict these somehow, but I just don't see how to do it. Those digits... Those digits there can't go in there. Ah, right. Or is that right, actually? I might be have been about to say something idiotic then. Where do those digits go? Oh, that is interesting. That is weird. Okay, right. Where do those 3 digits... I don't have the colours to do this very well. I'll make them blue. And in fact, blue is, I think, the correct colour to make these, believe it or not. Where do those 3 digits go? In these boxes. That's the question I want to ask. And the reason I think that's an interesting question is I think those digits go on the blue line. Now, the weird thing about this is I don't know where they go on the blue line, because I don't know whether they go in box 5 or box 9, but I think they must go in one of them. Now, let me test this by trying to tell you why. So, let's just pick this digit just as an as an example digit. And we'll ask where this digit here goes in box 9 to start with. Now that digit cannot repeat on its own yellow line, so it's not in those cells. So it's either on the blue line, that's one possibility, but if we're trying to prove that the opposite is the case in order to falsify my contention that these cells end up on the blue line, then we would have to put this digit in those cells in box 9. But if they're in those cells in box 9, then they can't repeat on this yellow line, so they're not in those cells in box 5, which means, and they're not in these cells because we're talking about this cell here, so in box 5 they go on the blue line. So these digits are on the blue line. And I'm just wondering, I'm now wondering about these digits. So, this is the question, isn't it? You see, if these digits were different to these digits, hang on. Oh my goodness me. Right. This is huge. This is sensationally clever. Wow. It's really, I'm starting to see it now, which I know has taken me a long time, but I'm starting to see it, and it's really clever. It's really beautiful. I'm going to make those green. So here is my question. Is it possible that there is a green digit and a blue digit that are the same? And the answer is no, of course. I say of course, it's not of course at all. It took me staring at it and wondering this to figure it out. But how could one of these digits and one of these digits be the same? Let's imagine they're both 1, for example. Well, the reason this doesn't work is now where are we going to put 1 in box 9? And the answer is we can't repeat it on the yellow lines, so we'd have to put it on the blue line. But now, where do we put 1 in box 5? And the answer is we can't repeat it on the yellow line, so we've got to put it on the blue line. And now we've got 2 1s on the blue line, and that doesn't work because we're only allowed to have, we can't have repeated digits on these lines, any of the lines in the grid. So this means that these are actually 6 different digits. Which, well, therefore those digits are all different. Those are 5 different digits, which means the circles must add up to at least 15, just as these circles have to add up to at least 15. So that's got to be at least equal to 6. But I've got to be a bit careful here, don't I? Because this line is now comprised of, well, these cells and these cells, such that 5 of them have to be capable of going on arrows, and 3 of them have to be capable of going on a 3-cell arrow. So, I'm wondering if we can maths this actually, because so the minimum I could put on this arrow is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sextuplet. And that would add up to 21. Which would mean that well, that would work actually, because then I'm thinking, what's the maximum I could put onto this arrow? And if the maximum, if I make this a 1, this is complicated though. This is complicated, so you're going to have to bear with me. If I make this a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sextuplet, then then the blue and the green cells are selected from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I have to make this a 6 actually from the maths of the 15. But I also just want to note that if I make this as big as I can in order to make this as small as I can, this couldn't be bigger than 6 because it has to be a digit that's on this line. So this would have to be a 6, these would add up to 6, that's 12 therefore, which means these have a maximum value, or let me put that differently, these have a minimum value of 9, because this has a maximum value of 12, and this can't add up to more than 9 without breaking this cell. So this works with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, but I am going to be astonished if it works for anything more than that, because if we make this slightly higher, let's say we made this 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the effect of that is going to be that these sum up to 27, isn't it? Because now we've got the triangular number for 7, which is 28, minus 1. Now if these add up to 27, how do I keep this down to only 9? The only way of keeping this down to 9 is if I make those add up to 18, and to make those add up to 18 I need to have a 9 here, which I haven't got because I am not allowed to have 9 on the line. This is weird, it's amazing. So in fact, let's think about that a different way. If this was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the maximum value of this would be 7. 7 plus 7 is 14, which would mean these have to add up to 13, which doesn't work because we know that the line adds up to 27. Yeah, it's not going to work for anything else, is it? Let's just maths it out because I think it's quite cool. So that the triangular number for 8, I want to say that's 36 minus. I'm now minusing a 2 and a 1 off that, aren't I? So I've got 33 on the line. The maximum value of this would be 8 plus 8 is 16. So this is now adding up to 17. We're just getting further and further away from where we need to be. So now we've actually done it. We know this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sextuplet. In order to make this arrow only add up to 9, I need this to be a 6. Which means this is either 1, 5 or 2, 4. That's not a 6 for what it's worth. And this is a 9 because these have to add up to 9 because if they added up to anything less, we'd need to put a higher digit than 6 into this circle. This is really, really beautiful to me. It's very, very stunning. Now, where does the 3 go in this little congregation of digits? Well, it's got to go on the 9 arrow, which means this is either 2, 3, 4 or 1, 3, 5. Yes, okay, so it's just the counterpart of whatever we don't use on the 6 arrow here is going to end up over here. Right. So what does all of that mean? Okay, this 9 is giving me a 1 here, and that's massive, because then that's a 2, and we know this is a different flavour. So this is 9, this is 8, but what's more than that? That's now not 1, 5, so that's 2, 4, which means this doesn't have 2, 4 on it, and that's 1, 3, 5. And now there's a 9 in one of those cells by our old friend Sudoku. I keep wanting to use this as an arrow. This is not an arrow. This is a big, long, horrible line of yellowness. This 1, 2, 4, that's not a 1, 2 or a 4. So that's down to 3, 5 or 6. Oh, hang on. Okay, so what's this arrow at the top now? Can't have 1s, 2s or 4s on it. So it's either 3, 5 or 3, 6. It's got to have a 3 on it, which means this square is an 8 or a 9 by the miracle of maths. And from that we can deduce the following. I don't have anything. I was hoping my brain would come up with something there, and it failed. Okay, so it's a bit weird now, but now this big long squiggle in the top right and the bottom left is almost completely useless. Now we've locked the digits into the corners of these boxes. You know, we just need, there's a massive rembam which is saying that these have to be the digits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Well, that's not very surprising. I suppose we have to use the arrow a little bit. Okay, sorry, I've got... Alright, what on earth am I meant to do now? Good grief. I've got no... I mean, and now I'm blanking again. I don't see what to do. It must be... That's not a 6. Or what's that's worth. That's not a 2 either, I've just seen. Just, oopsie, because of the 2 up here. Oh, I see. Hang on, look. I've got a 3, 5, 6 triple in this column. And we know that's not 3 because the 3 has to be up there, or this arrow adds up to 11. So that means that this is a 5 or a 6, and these 2 squares are a 7 or an 8. And whatever they are... Oh, okay, so maybe I have to use the staircases a bit more, because 9 now has to be in one of those 3 cells. Oh, that is interesting, actually, because 9 can't repeat on this bottom yellow line. It can't go there. It doesn't seem to be able to go on the blue line, so it's in one of those 3 cells. Now that means we should ask where 9 goes in this column. And it can't go on the arrow, because then this would be at least a 10. So it's in one of 2 places only, which is a lot better than I was expecting. Now there's also a 7 or an 8 here, and that must find a home in one of those cells. Which feels like it might be important, doesn't it? Oh, come on, you silly man. What on earth do we do now? My goodness me, I just don't know. Is this supposed to be obvious? What are those digits then? They probably have to have a 2 on them, don't they? Because otherwise this is going to be a 4 plus a 6, which adds up to too many. Okay, so this is either 2. This is 2. It could be 2, 4 adding to 6. That's certainly possible. If it's not 2, 4, it's 2, 6 adding to 8, or 2, 7 adding to 9. So it's moderately restricted. That can't be a 2 anymore. Can we do better than that somehow? I don't know. 2, 4, 6 here. Okay, those digits can't repeat. Ah, that's a little bit interesting actually. So those digits can't repeat on the yellow line. Wow, that's nearly very cute, but not quite cute enough. So I was wondering where they go in row 7, because they can't go there. So 2 and 4 in this row. Ah, that right. So there's a 2 on this arrow. That's what we can say. So if we study this row and ask where 2 can go, that's the simplest way I can put it. It's not there because then it would repeat on this yellow line. It's not here because I've just worked out there's a 2 on this arrow. So there is a 2 on this arrow, which actually is probably the most minimum deduction we're going to get from that. Now what about 4 and 6 then? They also can't go here. But that could be a 6. If that couldn't be a 6, then this would be a 2, 4, 6 triple in the row. And that would be mildly interesting, wouldn't it? What about... I've got nothing here. This is really difficult. All right. Okay, I'm going to change tack entirely. This 2 has to go on the orange line somewhere, so it's going to have to go in one of those cells. And it can't go in the circle, so it's actually in one of only 3 positions. 2 of which are on the arrow, which is probably not very surprising. Okay, let's try that trick instead then with 8s. So 8 also has to go on the orange arrow. Now 8 therefore is in one of those cells, but 8... No, okay. So this time it is more interesting. 8 can't go on the arrow because that would put 9 in the circle, and the 9 is apparently in one of those cells. So neither of those is 8. 8 is now locked into one of 2 places. Which might matter. I don't know. Let me think. Can you do anything with that knowledge? I haven't got a clue. I have not got a clue. This is really difficult. But it's very, very interesting. But there's almost an overload of geometry going on here, and I'm finding it very hard to see the wood for the trees. So maybe... What would be really useful is if there was some way of knowing what the order of digits was in this congregation here. So whatever goes in those cells, let me think about this, whatever goes in these cells, if that was a 7 or an 8, we know that that cannot go in those cells. So this would be a 9, 7, 8 triple in box 5. That's weird. So if this is a high digit, those become high. Now, does that do anything to anything? I don't know. These become 2, 4, and 6. Oh, good grief. Right, okay, that doesn't work, but it's absolutely brutal. Okay, let's think about that. So I was hypothesizing whether this could be 9, 7, 8. It doesn't work because then these squares have to be 2, 4, and 6, and that 6 would go there. So this is a 2, 4 pair, and it breaks this digit. So that digit is not high. That digit is something else. When I say it's not high, it's therefore got to be... So it's not 7 or 8 or 6. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. And I am pencil marking that because actually I can see it's not 1, 3 or 5. So, whoa, so this is a 2 or a 4. You're kidding me. So this is the same as this. Okay. So that means that this digit is in one of these 3 cells in box 5 because it can't be on the line there, yet it's a 2 or a 4, so we know it's on the line somewhere. Right. So that means that there has to be... So this digit, which is a high digit, is in one of those 3, but the other high digit in box 5 is in one of these cells. So if I could just... Can we just somehow do something with that knowledge? Is it possible for this to be an 8? Only just. Oh. Well, maybe is the answer to that. It's not. I'm not entirely sure it is possible, but I couldn't quickly rule it out there. So what I was thinking was, if this, well, if this is 8, that's 8, that's 8 by Sudoku, that's 7, which is fine, that puts 7 up here. This is 8, which is fine. And that actually looks quite plausible, doesn't it? Okay, alright, sorry. Okie dokie. So what do we do next? We shall, instead of that, argue about I don't know where to look. Maybe it's the 135. What can I say definitively about those? I can say these are not 135. I guess these two digits are a little bit restricted then. Yeah, okay, these digits here are restricted because they're not 135 or 9 and they're not 6 or 8. So those digits are only 2. Oh, there's a 247 triple. That's what I've missed. Sorry. So these can only be 2, 4 and 7. That's a 247 triple, which means that's not 4. The 7 of that triple is... Ah! That's it! Wow! So the 7 of that triple is in this domino. And why do I get excited about that? Well, it's because I know that there is a high digit in this triple. Because of this cell here. In fact, well, the simple way to see it is the 7 now bounces its way down the stairway to heaven and sort of gets rejected from heaven up here, falls down, Sisyphus-like, and ends up there. So that must be an 8. Which means that's a 7, which now means there's a 7 in one of those 3 cells I'm suddenly seeing, which feels like it might matter. But now this 8 needs to make an appearance on this line, and it's going to have to be in one of those 3 cells. That's no longer able to be 8, look. So 8, yeah, here we go. So 8 is also in one of those 2 cells in box 8, which means 8s are aligning, look, in boxes 2 and 8, and there's got to be an 8 down here, which means that's not an 8 anymore. So there's an 8 on this line in one of those 2 positions. We've got we can pencil mark, and I'm very prepared to do this in this puzzle. I'm going to pencil mark row 6, where I need to place 1, 3, 5 and 9 into the gaps. 1, 3, 5 and 9. Now, is that in any way resolvable? No. Ah. Okay, but now I've got a 247. Oh, so now the question is, where does 6 go on this line, I suppose? Because it seems to only be able to go there. Oh, has that been available for ages? Is that the point that I should have just immediately twigged? I don't know, maybe it has been, but it wasn't shouting out at me, I have to say. So 6 comes out of these cells. 6 has got to find a home in one of those 3 cells in box 4. Wow, that's almost very difficult. It's almost very difficult for there to be a 6 in one of these 2 squares now. So I was wondering about 6 in this row, because it can't go here anymore. And it can't go on its own line. Ah. Right. This is really clever. Okay. So the key is now to come back to row 7 and ask where 8 goes, isn't it? Because 8 can't go here by Sudoku, and it can't go on this arrow because that will make that arrow a 9. So that has to be 8. It's the only place it can go. Now once we get this 8, we get this 8 at the top by the magic of what we've been working on already. And now this arrow can't be 2, 6. So this is either 1, 7, which has to be in that order, or 3, 5. Now, can we do anything with that? Apparently the answer is no. No. Ah, got it. Right, now I'm gonna keep working on this line now. I'm not allowed to not look at this line because this I think is the key. Where does 4 go in this row now? Well, it can't go there. It doesn't seem to be able to go in any of those, so it must go in the same positions as 2. So this is a 2-4 pair, and this is now a 6, which means this is an 8. That's not a 6. That's not a 6. There's got to be an 8 in that domino at the top, in case that matters. And these squares have got to be 1, 3, 5 and 7. 1, 3, 5 and 7. Can we see anything clever as a result of that? I'm sure some of you can, but I can't. Oh, okay, so now I can ask where 6 goes in this row, and it's only got one position left because it can't repeat on the yellow line, so that's not a 6 in the corner. So 6, that's huge. So now that's not got 6 on it, so that's 3, 5, and therefore we know what its sum is. 3 plus 5 equals 8. Seem to have a lot of 8s in the grid. Can I actually do better than that? Can that be a 9? Oh, bother, it can. That's really mean. Otherwise, I could have got this as being 8. And in fact, or maybe that's the question, can that be a 3-5 pair? Because that's the only thing it could be. 8, 3, 5. Maybe. 8, 3, 5. This would be 1 or 9. Yeah, okay, maybe that is possible. This has now become an 8. So we've done almost all the 8s, just got this X-wing of 8s left. And in this row, we can say for certainty there must be a 7 in one of these squares, which corresponds to the 7 on the other yellow line. I've got a 1, 3, I've got a 1, 3, 5 triple in this column that I've only just noticed. Has that been there for ages? I don't know. So actually, I'm not sure where it's best to pencil mark, but I mean this column now needs 4s, 6s, 7s, 8s and 9s, so that square can't be 6 or 7, so that's only able to be 4, 8 or 9. And I'm not sure I can't get rid of more than that from that square. This square is the same. It sees 7, or 7 here. It sees 6, and it sees the other digits, so that's 4, 8 or 9 as well. I don't know if that is useful enough. It's quite interesting. What we might find in the end we get is some sort of, doubles and triples along this top yellow line. I don't know. This is tricky. This is tricky. Golly gosh. What do I look at now? I don't know. I just don't know. We could look at... What about where 6 is in one of those 3 cells? I know 6 is not here, I've just noticed. Okay, does that put pressure on this arrow? That arrow can't be 7 anymore, I want to say, because I can't seem to make those 2 squares add up to 7. So that's 6 or 9. Okay, so 6 in this row is in the same 2 positions as 9, and that's a 6-9 pair. So if that's a 6-9 pair, this square is a 4 or a 7, because it can't be a 2. But it's still, I don't think it's quite good enough to actually allow me to understand the puzzle. It's getting closer though. So this can still be 2, 4 and it can still be 2, 7. All I know is it's got a 2 in it, so that's not a 2. But that's still not resolved this 2, 4, 7 triple in this row. There's so much weirdness here. There really is. Okay, so what about... Could we conclude with any certainty that there's a 1 on this arrow? If there was no 1 on this arrow, it would be at least 3, 5, and it could add up to 8. No, I do not want to restart my device, and that would be fine. 3, 5, 8. And these would be a 1, 9 pair. I think I've looked at that already. So that all works. What about... I don't know where to look. What about... we might have to do some offensively comprehensive pencil marks. That's the other thing that's sort of occurring to me here. If I've got this 1, 3, 5 triple there, so 1 in this box is in one of 3 positions. Don't think that's enough. Okay, what about 9 in this box? 9 can't be there, it can't be on an arrow, and it's not equal to 8. So 9's still got 3 possible positions. Oh, golly, I know, I've just spotted what it is, isn't it? I've got a 4 on this line, so those can't be 4. So this is an 8, 9 pair, that's massive. That is massive, that gets me my 9 here. Yay, come on. So this is now 2, 7, which means that's a 4. So that's not a 4. That's not a 4. Still doesn't resolve anything. That's not a 4. This is now a 2, 7 pair. So so that becomes a 4, in fact. Okay. And if that's a 4, we can use the medium of the yellow line to give us a 2 here, which means that becomes a 7. That becomes a 4. That becomes a 2. Good grief. Now could that be good enough to actually do some magic for us? Okay, that's not 4. So, oh look, it's so close to giving me a... Oh, yes. In fact, it is close enough to now ask where 4 goes on the blue line. It seems to only be allowed to go in the corner. No song, but I'm still welcoming you with open arms. Okay, this is no longer a 2. So I've now got a 1, 3, 5 triple here, and that seems to have to be the 2, which means there's not a 2 here anymore. Got some weird pencil marks for 2s up here, but I think we're now down to just... Why can't that be a 2? Oh, I know why. It's because I needed to put a 2 on the orange line. That's why. Okay. So the 2 on the orange line is in one of those 2 cells now, which is potentially relevant. And there's got to be a 4 up here as well. Can I get rid of a 4 from that cell? I don't think so. Okay, so this square is now definitely not 9. In fact, if we look at this column, we've not placed 4 and 7, which must be at the top here. Oh, that's beautiful. So now this is not 1, 7. So this is 3, 5. Which of course I can't resolve. But that's 3 and 5 on this line now. So I've got 3, 5 and 8 on the orange line. Goodness only knows what this is doing. So these 2 orange line squares are not 2, 4 and 6 from the row, or 3, 5 and 8 from the orange line. So they are, answers on a postcard please, 1s, 7s or 9s. Just these 2 squares, they can only be 1, 7 or 9. And one thing I can tell you is you can't put 1 in the circle. So this circle is 7 or 9, And then the digit on its arrow can't be 9. So this is 1 or 7. So this might be good enough for us to narrow this down. Okay, if this is 7... Well, actually, no... Oh, I don't believe it. It works both ways, I think. If this is 7, this has to be 9, this has to be 2. I can't see why this can't be a 2. Whereas if this is 1, this can't be 8, but it could be 6. So this is 2 or 6 into this square, and they both seem possible. This is 1, 3 or 5 to complete the triple in this box. I've got a 1, 3, 5 triple in this column. So the 6 must go there. Which means there's a 6 in this domino. I don't know if I can do better than that. Probably somehow, some way. What about those two squares then? They are a 1, 9 pair, I believe. Which means that's not 1. So this is a 3, 5 pair. I might have to do some colouring in a minute, I think. What about that digit then? Yes, yes. Okay, that means I've got a 1, 7, 9 triple along this orange line. So I've now got a 3, 5, 8 and a 1, 7, 9 triple. So the other digits are 2, 4 and 6. So that digit is 4 by the power of Sudoku. It sees 2 and 6. It can only be 4. Which is a crazy deduction that doesn't seem to be doing a great deal for me. It's given me a couple more digits. I suppose I shouldn't be too unhappy about that. This is no longer 4. And this has to be 2 or 6 to complete our orange line satisfactorily. Which isn't allowing me to do any useful eliminations. This can't be 7 anymore. I need a 7 on the orange line. It's going to have to be in this domino. I need this digit. This is the digit we need to work out. 3, 5, 7 and 9. Okay, there's a 3, 5 pair then in this row. That's got to be 3 or 5. That's got to be 7 or 9. Somehow this isn't resolved. I do not know how. And these squares up the top have got to be 6 and... I don't know. What is it? 6 and 2. And that's not doing anything for anybody at all. I've got a 3, 5 pair here now as well. I've got 3, 5 pairs all over the place. Okay, so maybe I've got to concentrate now on this line because I think that would be sensible. 1, 3, 5 and 7 into these squares. 1, 3, 5 and 7. Now can we do anything by way of elimination? Well, no. That's, the 7 is in one of those squares, so that's not 7. It's amazing, isn't it? It's just being difficult now. High Dudgeon. I'm in a state of high Dudgeon with you, because your puzzle, frankly, is much cleverer than I am, and it's causing me a most large amount of discombobulation. What could it be? Well, it could be any number of things I'm not looking at, couldn't it? It really could. I mean, it could be this arrow, but I don't really think there's anything looking at that arrow in a terribly pertinent way. It's much more likely to be Sudoku that I haven't spotted. But the problem with this puzzle is that the Sudoku aspects of it are a bit mad, in the sense that, for example, that digit is the same as that digit, which wouldn't naturally occur to one. Can that still be 8? That would have to be 1, 8 adding up to 9. I mean, that would be so potent, wouldn't it? Then this would be 7, 1, and that would be 6. I mean, it could be this. There could be some way we can conclude the nature of this line. If this is not 8, this is 8. And this would have... Oh, that's it. Beautiful. That's it. Right. So the question to ask now is, can this be 8? And the answer is, in fact, no. Because then, to make 8, you either need 1, 7, 2, 6, or 3, 5. And that's going to make that cell very hard to fill. So this is not 8. And that's actually mighty. because I can immediately see now, once this is 8, what's going to happen? Well, now that's a 1, this is a 9. We get our ubiquitous 3-5 pairs. We get 9 here means this is now a 7. This is now 1. Therefore, that's a 6 by maths. This becomes a 2. The 2 and the 4 go into the grid, which seems to indicate that's got to be a 4. That's a 9. That's an 8 by our old friends Sudoku. This is a 1 by Sudoku. Get rid of the 1 down here. This is 9. Whoops. This is 7. This is 7 now. There's probably some magic we can do down here, but can't see how to do it. Now, come on. What are these then? Those are not 1s. So these... So this is a 3-5. So there's a 9 in one of those. It still does. This is weird. There's so many 3-5s everywhere. Oh, but 1 is on the orange line now, so that's got to be a 9. That's got to be a 1. Oh, look, I know where we're heading. Yes, we're heading up to putting a 9 in the top of box 1, and it can't go here by Sudoku, and it can't go on an arrow, or this would be at least a 10. So it does go here. And now how are we going to make this total? 1-8 doesn't work, 2-7 doesn't work, 4-6 doesn't work. So hopefully 3-6 works, because otherwise I have made a right boo-boo. So this is now 5, which means, oh, that's going to go through the grid like a dose of salts, isn't it? 5 and 3 go over here. These 3 and 5s were offset, so that's oh, and this 5 goes through the blue line. Good grief, this is really clever. Now this is all done. Look, that's a whoops. That's 5. That's 9 by Sudoku using that digit. So this now becomes a 1-5 pair, which means 3's in one of those. So that's not 3. So this is a 1-5 pair. So this is not 1 or 5. How does this resolve? So that's become 7. That's become 2. That's become 7. 1-3-5 at the bottom is... Well, the 5 we can place, the 1 we can place, the 3 we can place. This digit should be known. That's a 7 by Sudoku. And that's a 1 by Sudoku, and that's a 2 by Sudoku. So that's a 2, and that's a 6, that's a 6, and that's a 3. We just have to figure out that's 1, that's 1, that's 5, that's 5, that's 3. What a brilliant puzzle. What a brilliant puzzle that is. Let me just click tick. Yes. I found that very hard, as you saw, and I think that's because the scanning was very difficult. I haven't got my new glasses. You can't blame me. Until I've got my new glasses, it's not fair to blame my scanning, because I basically can't see. There, I've said it. No, but seriously, let's just step back and admire the break into this puzzle, because it is absolutely wondrous that you can do magic like this with these funny yellow lines and the blue line. It's stunning. Yeah, this collection of digits here is where the stunningness happens. And my goodness me, it's clever. And then after that, I really just had to whittle things away using the sort of the orange lines, trying to stop myself repeating digits on the yellow lines, and occasionally using the arrows. And it all fits together very, very well. It's just tricky. The back end's tricky. But yeah, I can now see why people are saying Hi Dudgeon was the best solver never to be featured on Cracking the Cryptic. We have put that right, and we certainly should have done, because that puzzle definitely deserved a wider audience. Let me know in the comments how you got on. I do enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. Hopefully we'll see you later for the streaming, 10 o'clock UK time. Bye for now.